All right, so today we're going to dive into a pretty wild book by Robert Anton Wilson called The New Inquisition. And this thing, it doesn't just give you information. It's designed to, well, to mess with your head and totally rewire how you see the world.
So let's just start with a really simple question. Just look around you right now. You feel pretty sure that what you're seeing is, real, right? But Wilson, he argues that maybe we shouldn't be so confident. He's saying we aren't just these passive cameras that are recording everything. Nope, we're more like artists, actively painting the world as we see it.
Wilson has this great little experiment to show what he means. Okay, picture this. A friend holds up a newspaper, but it's just a little bit blurry, right? You can't quite make out the headline. But then, the second they read that headline out loud to you, something incredible happens. Your brain just fills in the blanks. The text suddenly snaps into focus. It's like you don't just know what it says, you can suddenly see it perfectly clear. Your brain literally just added information that wasn't there a second ago.
And this idea isn't even new. Way back, even Aristotle pointed out that how we see things isn't instantaneous. There's this tiny little gap, a delay, between the light hitting your eye and you actually understanding what you're seeing. And in that gap, your brain is working like crazy, interpreting everything based on what you already know, on your memories and your expectations. That's why he said we don't just see, we have seen.
Okay, so if our perception is this act of creation, what are we actually creating? This is where Wilson brings in his big idea, the core concept for how we each build our own little worlds. He calls it the reality tunnel. So what on earth is a reality tunnel? Well, think of it like this. It's the unique filter that every single one of us has. It's built from our language, our beliefs, our culture, our past experiences, the whole shebang. We don't experience the world directly, not at all. We experience it through this personal tunnel.
And look, these tunnels can be based on anything. You've got a Marxist, they're going to see the world through the lens of class struggle. A vegetarian looks at a restaurant menu and sees something completely different from a meat eater. A Buddhist, a monetarist, each one of these is a totally valid, fully functioning reality tunnel.
Now, Wilson's point is that the problem isn't that we have all these different reality tunnels. That's actually fine. The trouble starts when one group, any group, insists that their tunnel isn't a tunnel at all. They say it's the one and only objective reality with a capital R. And that is what he calls the New Inquisition.
He has a name for this mindset, fundamentalism. And this is really important. He is not just talking about religion here. For Wilson, fundamentalism is what happens anytime a belief system, any system, forgets that its models are just that, they're models. It's when people mistake the map for the actual territory.
Let's be super clear about something. Wilson is not attacking the scientific method. No, his target is what he calls the citadel of science, which is this dogmatic belief that our current scientific models are the final, absolute truth, and that any data that doesn't fit, well, it must be a mistake, or a fraud, or just a hallucination. So to kind of poke holes in this certainty, Wilson just gleefully throws out this whole collection of what he calls damned data. These are just weird, anomalous reports from history that, well, they just don't fit the standard model. And again, the point isn't to make you believe these stories. The point is to make you ask, what do we do with information that completely shatters our nice, tidy categories?
Okay, so he pulls out these old newspaper clippings. For instance, check this out. A report from 1933 about a cat with wings.
Right away, your brain just goes into overdrive trying to explain it, doesn't it? It's got to be a hoax, right? Or maybe some kind of weird genetic mutation. We're scrambling to jam it into a box we already understand. Then, bam, he hits you with another one. London, 1921, a shower of frogs, living frogs, falling from a perfectly clear sky. And what do? We scramble again. Must have been a freak whirlwind that sucked them up from a pond somewhere, right? Or a big prank. The mind just fights back against something so absurd. And then there's this one, this biological bombshell from 1889. A report that a cow on some farm gave birth to a calf and 2 lambs. Like one writer said, that is about as biologically possible as a cow giving birth to a couple of bicycles. So look, here is the real reason he's telling us all these bizarre stories. Wilson is not asking you to believe in winged cats. He's asking a much deeper question. When you get a piece of data that shatters your reality tunnel, what do? Do you just dismiss the data out of hand? Or do you start to question the tunnel itself? And this kind of model-breaking stuff isn't just in weird old newspaper clippings. It is right at the heart of modern physics. I mean, think about Schrödinger's cat. Our common-sense reality tunnel says, look, the cat in the box is either dead or it's alive. Pick one. But quantum physics comes along and says, nope, until you open that box and look, the cat is both dead and alive at the same time. Our everyday brain just can't handle that. So, okay,
If our senses can be tricked, if all of our models are limited, and if even our best science describes a reality that makes no common sense, what are we supposed to do with all that? Wilson's answer is pretty simple, actually. He says we need to stop desperately searching for absolute certainty and instead just learn to embrace the wisdom of maybe.
According to Wilson, this desperate need we have for certainty, it's not actually about finding the truth. It's an emotional need. We crave those soothing, simple answers because, let's face it, the unknown is terrifying. An absolute belief in anything is basically like a tranquilizer we use to calm our fear of uncertainty. So his alternative is something he calls creative agnosticism. Now, this isn't about believing in nothing. It's about treating all belief systems, all of these reality tunnels, as if they're tools in a toolbox. You can use them, you can learn from them, but you just avoid taking that final leap of faith that says this one tool is the only one that's real. And Wilson was really clear that this trap of fundamentalism, it's not just for the establishment or the mainstream. He warned against, and I'm quoting here, the paranoia that easily infests either establishment dogma and anti-establishment dogma. And what's his defense against this trap, no matter which side it's on? It's a simple little toolkit: agnosticism, a really good sense of humor, and just a constant, humble awareness that, hey, you might just be wrong.
So really, the big takeaway from the New Inquisition isn't that you should abandon all your beliefs. Not at all. It's that you should maybe hold them a little more lightly. It's about constantly reminding yourself of that crucial distinction. The map is not the territory. Our models of reality, our beliefs, are incredibly useful maps for getting around in the world, but they are not the world itself.
And that leaves us with a final challenge that Wilson throws down. It's all about turning this lens back on ourselves. I mean, really take a hard look at your most deeply held beliefs, the things you are absolutely sure are true, and then ask yourself, which of those certainties is just a tunnel?